History, where two best friends tell you something that happened in history. Sometimes it's really, really funny. Sometimes it's kind of depressing. And sometimes it's just war. So,
War.
War. How are you, Morgan?
I'm good. How are you, Emileigh?
Hey, thanks for saying my name because I just realized I didn't introduce myself again. If this is your first time, sorry, guys.
I got you, girl. I got you.
Thank you. I'm okay. I decided that I was going to hydrate today, and the liquid IV is giving me heartburn.
Yay!
So,
I love that for you.
Yeah. And listen, I love liquid IV. It's my body. It's like, no, how dare you put some water in your system?
What do you mean? Electrolytes? What is that?
Yeah. We run on coffee and wine, ma'am. Please.
Your soul's like, why are we so plump? We're full of water. What is this?
Oh my God, you could actually put an IV in your arm right now because you're not dehydrated.
When I was in the throes of my sickness, I survived on so much Gatorade.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just finished off a case of Propel.
Propel.
Propel!
Morgan and her freaking Propel.
A couple years ago. Y'all know how we go on our annual Jeep trip. Well, we usually get really, really drunk and therefore really, really dehydrated. So the year before last, I was going to be prepared. So I brought an entire 24 pack of Propel. And anytime someone's like, wow, I'm really hungover, I'd be like, you want Propel? You want some Propel?
She was borderline, had a trench coat and just opened it up with rows of Propel. That's the vibe she was giving. You want a Propel? I got a Propel.
I was pulling it out of pockets I got a Propel. You want one?
She literally, Nick would be driving. We're in the woods. I know the cooler only had beer in it, but Nick would say, I'm really thirsty and I don't want a beer. She would pull this, but I don't even know where it came from. She'd just pull it out and be like, I got you a Propel. Just from the back seat and arm with the bottle. It was so much.
And no one took me up on my offer except Nick. Everyone's like, no, I'm okay. You took a couple. You did take a couple. I offered a bunch to Drew, and he was like, no.
Yeah. You did bring that, 10 or 12 pack this year. I think we drank more of them this year than we did. We were more focused on hydrating this year.
Yes, this year is a lot more
than in the
low-key.
past. Yeah. We also are almost turning 32. And we can't do things like we used to do.
My birthday is in a little over a month.
Oh my God. Hey, upon recording, it's a month until Valentine's Day. So
it is.
Y'all start thinking about what to get your honeys.
Kyle and I have already talked about it. We discussed doing a staycation.
Nice.
We're getting a really nice hotel room somewhere in Nashville. He even talked about going to to the Opryland Hotel because it's real fancy.
Ooh.
And he's like, let's get massages and let's do just a night at a hotel and not at home and we don't have to worry about it. I was like, that sounds really nice because I'm tired of driving and going far away. I've gotten to the place where I'm tired of traveling. I need to wait a minute so I can build up the desire to go back out again.
Do a little at a time. I think we're going to, I'll probably just end up making his favorite dinner. It's on a Friday, right? Ooh, normally we eat at the in-laws on Friday.
We can do something special for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that involves work and money.
Yeah, it's a Friday. I was like, the 15th. That's a Saturday. I was like, wait, no, the 14th.
No, the 14th.
Y'all, I'm not okay.
We're struggling over here. Listen, we had, upon recording, again, we just got out of this snowstorm. And my kids were out on Friday and Monday. And we've had a go at it. It's been a long weekend.
Are y'all supposed to get snow next Monday too?
I hope not. But Nick will be off next Monday because he has off for MLK. Mm-hmm. So I'll at least have backup on that Monday.
That's good.
Nick had to go in this past Monday. And they were on a 2-hour delay this morning. And I don't know if that's worse because I just feel like if they get to sleep in, their mind is already set on, I'm not going to school. So getting them dressed and ready and out of that door, I thought we were all going to like lose our minds. They're trying to play. I'm trying to get them to brush their teeth and eat their breakfast and get dressed and stuff. And they're like, but the Switch. And I'm like, I'm going to throw it away. I can't.
Yeah.
Morgan, I know you said that you didn't go out in the snow that much. So
Not
if y'all
really.
saw the TikTok, it was mostly my stuff. But we have a pellet stove in the basement, and I literally took my like laundry drying rack and hung it up right in front. And like you see stereotypical, like you hang up your wet clothes in front of the like fireplace. I don't know why. We've had this thing for years. Why have I not been hanging laundry up down here in the winter? Like, what is wrong with me? It's genius.
Yeah. There you go.
It dries it in like 20 minutes.
Oh, that's economical and convenient.
Yes. So y'all, put a pellet stove in your house. Unless you live in like Florida. Don't do that. The silence.
I didn't know what to say. I was just like, yeah.
I didn't either.
I agree.
That was just the end of the thought. Oh my God. Okay. We should do something.
Let's get into our skit for today.
Yeah, let's do it. It's 1942. The Petroleum Warfare Department is discussing the logistics of the planned attack on Normandy. Two of the men are quietly having a private discussion in the background.
All right, guys. What are we going to do about getting enough fuel to the front lines during this operation?
You know that girl from Barracks 19? Maybe we could ship it?
And get attacked by bombs?
We met up at the bar last night. You know, the one around the corner on Broad. What
Yeah,
about flying it over?
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
They just get shot down.
How was it?
The gas is too heavy to fly like
How
that.
was it?
It's aviation
Nothing
spirit
happened.
we need too.
She left saying it was cringy to call it laying the pipe or something. What
Uh,
about...
Gentlemen, what did you just say?
Sir, I'm so sorry.
No, that last thing. What was it?
I said, laying the pipe?
Genius. That's what we'll do.
Sir, that doesn't mean what you...
I see it now. Just laying pipe after pipe under the ocean. We'll have to wrap it, of course, so it doesn't get wet. I love it. Wrap it up, men.
Okay? Morgan, do you know what we're talking about today?
I assume laying some pipes.
Y'all, it is way more serious than that, but I couldn't not make the jokes. So.
What they mean is like doing like the half pipe, like in like skateboarding, you know.
Oh, like rocket power.
Yeah.
Looky.
I was thinking Tony Hawk, but yes.
Tony Hawk Pro Skateboarder. We had that. And the rocket power games and all that fun stuff.
Oh man, I loved Rocket Power. Anyway,
You know,
sorry.
I was gifted a skateboard, and then I promptly fell on my face because I went down the hill before I actually learned how to ride the skateboard.
That is such an Emily thing. Like,
I
oh
hit
yeah,
my
how hard can
dog.
it be?
I literally hit the dog. Who was a Dachshund? He's fine.
Oh.
Yeah. The reason I fell on my face was because I jumped off because the dog wouldn't move.
Mm-hmm.
But I jumped forward, so I ended up just flying over him. and landing on my face, and the skateboard still hit him. So, like, it was just a catastrophe.
But it didn't have your weight behind it, so.
No, it didn't have, my weight behind it probably would have killed him, but, like,
Yeah.
he was just fine. There was blood everywhere. My brother was like, please go inside. Go find Mom.
I'm just imagining you, like, hobbling inside with your face just fucked to hell. Be like, Mom, I fell off my skateboard.
And our Dotson's name was Wiener. So I was like, is Wiener okay?
He didn't lay pipe on some wiener.
No, the skateboard, but could you wait? We had him until I was probably 14. Can you imagine, like, a 10-year-old going outside looking for her dog and just yelling, Wiener! Oh, my parents thought they were funny, huh?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Now did we get all the giggles out? Because we're talking about some serious stuff, guys.
Okay.
Can't. Okay. So, we're talking about Operation Pluto. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
Okay, cool. I hadn't either until just a handful of days ago when Nick and I were sitting in the basement and I was playing Animal Crossing, and he put on this YouTube video documentary. It was only like 30 minutes long. I could not find the one that we watched. In hindsight, should I have asked him? Probably, but I couldn't find it. It's pretty much all the same information that I found in other videos, so I really didn't look too hard.
Okay.
But it's a guy who talked disarmingly fast.
Okay.
So it piqued my interest enough, but I really just couldn't grasp what was going on. So I was like, well, I guess I could just do it for the podcast, and then I learn all over again. So,
there you go.
Why not? So before we really talk about, like, the meat and potatoes, meat and bones.
What kind of dinners you eating?
Obviously.
Just eating just your bone luge.
I'm really liking the pipes and the bones tonight.
I'm just imagining you, like, in front of, like, a tomahawk steak and be like, my favorite. And just, like, eating the entire thing. Bone
and
like,
all.
That was a good meat and bones.
Isn't it potatoes? What potatoes?
I don't need no vegetables. I got my bones.
Fuck your starch. Give me the bones.
The bones.
The bones.
Bones.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Okay. The meat and potatoes. Okay. All right. Should we try that again?
we can try.
Okay. Whew. Oh, hi, Marin.
Oh, she's just right up in there.
Yeah. Hi. Do you like the sound of meat and bones? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I started laughing and she came over like that was an invitation.
Are you okay?
Mother. All right. So, let me set the scene. Let me set the climate of what's going on. So, Europe had been in the throes of World War II for, a couple of years at this point. We're getting to the point where America's coming into the fold. So this would be after Pearl Harbor. And somewhere in there, I don't know the exact details of it because it's not the operation specifically we're talking about today. They decide they're going to invade Normandy.
Right.
And they kind of knew this plan for a couple years. So starting in about, I think maybe 41, 42, they were like, we're going to have to take over this land again. How are we going to do it? Talks like that. So the invasion of Normandy goes by either that name, Operation Overlord, or D-Day, now that it is called.
Right.
So the planners of this, I don't know how much y'all know about D-Day, but it was a very complicated wheelhouse of an operation. I mean, you had to, I know there was like a fake out because they thought they made the Germans think they were going to attack somewhere else, and then they ended up on, and it was a lot.
It was like northern, like France, like Sweden almost, like misdirections and stuff. Yeah.
All over the place. So within all of this, what is the one thing that you need above almost everything else to make this successful? Do you know what it is, Morgan?
A few things are coming to my mind.
Yes.
People, I think, is the most important. Organization.
Okay.
Planning.
Yes.
Maybe that goes with organization.
But a physical thing, like a physical thing.
That's not people.
Fuel.
Yes, that's very important.
Fuel. Because if you have all these tanks, if you have all these airplanes, if you have these tankers and ships and trucks, they're useless if they don't run.
Yeah, that's very true.
So they knew that they were going to have a really hard time because obviously, let's manifest it. Once we win this operation,
yes,
how are we going to continue to move on without halting? Because the fuel is only going to last us so long, and a halt in the Allies could result in the Germans being able to rally again, giving them an opportunity to rally.
Right.
So how are we going to
pushing forward?
Exactly. How are we going to get all the fuel over there? So the normal standard procedure for oil transportation and fuel transportation was by big tankers. And those would just kind of go through the war zone. Sounds scary as shit to me because you are target number one.
Absolutely. I mean, it's also like if you are able to like shoot a tanker, that sucker can explode and like cause even more damage to your enemy.
Yeah. And others, other ships surrounding it. So, and a tanker is really precarious because not only is it, another ship could come, a submarine could come, or an airplane.
Right.
So
it's very vulnerable.
Yes. And they had a ship-to-shore pipeline. So a short pipeline from the shore, a ship would come up to it, connect, take it to the shore, and it worked. But if a ship went down, it took time and obviously other resources. So also, we're talking about the English Channel, which is notoriously a very easy ocean to go across. No. Nah. It's bad. So, listen. We're about to get into some names and some titles. Do I know what they all mean? No. Is it that important in this story? No. If you're curious, please Google it. Y'all know how the British be naming things, so I love y'all, British people, but
y'all's names and titles are something else.
You're so posh and prestigious. It's like, calm down.
Extra.
So extra. So Lord Louis Mountbatten was the head of the combined operations. And he reached out to a guy named Jeffrey Lloyd, and he was the petroleum secretary. And Mountbatten was like, hey, do you think that there's a possibility we could lay a pipeline across the English Channel for use of fuel? Because he was worried about shortages. And around this time, there was an American company literally just like picked up and moved to London. And they produced 20 million jerry cans. 20 million. And by 19... The metal gas can.
Oh, thank you. I was like...
You're welcome.
what is that? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's so much. And by 1944, so we're skipping ahead just a couple of years, they had 250,000 long tons of packaged gas.
What's a long ton?
Hold on. I knew this was going to happen, so I kept the tab up.
Okay, good.
Because why would they do this to us? A long ton is 224 imperial gallons.
What's an imperial gallon? Damn, these British measurements.
What's an imperial gallon? It's equal to 4.54609 liters.
Okay. That's like a little
imperial
over 2
gallon.
liters. Okay.
Okay, yeah, an imperial gallon is defined as the volume of 10 pounds of water. It is made up of 160 fluid ounces.
That means nothing to me.
So it's 4 quarts per gallon. How does it compare? Okay, an imperial gallon is about 20% larger than a U.S. gallon.
Okay,
I thank you. Put it in dumb terms for me, okay? I can't. So 250,000 long tons,
okay,
which
that's
is
a lot.
224. Yeah, got it. Y'all do the math, okay? So all of these things over time needed to be taken to the front in bulk. And so Lloyd, he sought the advice from his team. And his team, of course, made up the pretty much petroleum warfare department. So we've got Brigadier Sir Donald Banks, and he was the head of the petroleum warfare department. Sir Arthur Charles Hearn, and he was an ex-director of the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company and oil advisor to the Fourth Sea Lord. I don't know what that is.
Who are the first 3 sea lords?
I bet one of them was King Triton.
We've got King Neptune, King Triton.
We've got the Little Mermaid herself, and then Sir Arthur Charles Hearn. So then there was George Martin Lees, and he was a very respected geologist. So there might have been a couple other people, but those were the ones that were mentioned. And at the time, there were pipelines that were already being used in ports short distances. You know, obviously the ship-to-shore pipelines and things like that. But nothing as big as the English Channel and as bad of conditions as the English Channel.
Yeah, it's
rough. They all sat around and they were like, well, we need this done. And it needs to be done in a single night because enemies and tidal conditions and things like that. So it really needs to be done during the night in one night, and it just needs to be done and over. So they were like,
that's
sorry, can't be done.
Like, how can you span like underwater in the English Channel in one night? Like that's not possible.
Yeah, that's what they said. They said it couldn't be done. Well, it just so happened that a man named Arthur Hartley, who was the current chief engineer of Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, just happened to be visiting the Petroleum Warfare Department, or the PWD. I'm going to call it that. And he heard about this entire proposal and was like, bro, it's totally possible. We've been putting 3-inch pipelines in like Iran's very hilly terrain, and they can withstand 1,500 psi and could deliver 100,000 imperial gallons or 450,000 liters of gas daily. That's like 20,000 jerry cans worth a day. So on April 15th, and this is 1942, he put forward this plan for this continuous pipeline. And it would be kind of like submarine communication cables, but without like the core and the insulation and things of that nature. It would be a hollow tube, of course. And it would be armored to withstand the pressures, and it could be laid by a cable laying vessel. So it would be a soft cable that could wrap around a small drum and be laid by a vessel that was already equipped to do that. So please don't ask me the details on how this works.
Okay.
I'm just going off of what this says. They said different types of fuel don't mix under high pressure. So they could use the same pipe to, say, transport aviation fuel and then switch it to diesel, and they wouldn't mix in the pipe.
Oh, okay.
How? I don't know. So,
well, that's convenient.
It is convenient. So that's the plan. And this plan received the name Pluto. Do you know what that would... It stands for something. Do you know what it stands for? It's very on the nose.
Let's see. Pipe laying underground Turanian apparatus.
No. You were so close, and then it veered off. So pipelines under the ocean. Just pipelines under the ocean. They're like, they don't have time to think of a cooler name. Just like, get the shit going. Yeah, what is it? It's pipelines under the ocean. Pluto, cool. Let's go.
There we go. It makes a word. It's fine. Yeah, that works.
It's fine. It's fine. It's probably someone's son was watching like Mickey Mouse, and Pluto was on there, and they were like, hey!
Also, I feel really silly now because I said apparatus, and that starts with an A, even though I was
know.
literally thinking of O. For some reason, my brain went
I was going to let
A.
it go. Apparatus.
Operatus. Operation. There we go.
Operation.
Okay.
It's okay.
I don't know letters,
Fine.
y'all. My brain is not okay. I just need y'all to know that.
Mine has never been okay. So making the pipes is the next section I have. So again, it's going to be a lot of titles and a lot of names. You can forget them immediately if you want to.
Okay.
So this operation fell under the Chief of Staff to the Supreme Allied Commander, designate Cossack British Major Neville Brownjohn.
All right.
Put that on a fucking name tag.
The name tag is the size of an index card.
And it's still teeny tiny. So he led the G4 section of Cossack, which kind of took Pluto under its wing. And then there was an American Colonel, F.L. Rash, and then American Colonel Frank M. Albrecht. I think that's how you say that. And Major General Robert W. Crawford. So they were kind of in charge of, I guess, designing things. Of what I could tell, it's really not too important. So the operational command of Pluto was assigned to a Navy captain, John Fenwick Hitchings. And he was in the Department of Miscellaneous Weapons Development.
Okay.
Just, I guess if it wasn't a gun or a bomb, they're like, I just put it in
It goes in this department.
Miscellaneous, I don't know, just develop things. So they had backing. All of those people had backing from Sir William Fraser, and he was the chairman of Anglo-Iranian Oil Company and the petroleum advisor to the War Office. So he's a big shot.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry Wright was the managing director of Siemens Brothers. Now, I do believe, I did not look this up, but I do believe that it's the same Siemens that is still around today. They do a lot of electrical things for like big buildings and companies and things of that nature. I believe that's the same company. So the Siemens Brothers collabed with the National Physical Lab to develop the cable, and they based it on that undersea telegraph communication cables. And they estimated that under the right conditions, this cable could deliver 3,500 imperial gallons per day at 500 psi and could resist an underwater pressure of 1,900 psi.
Oh.
So let's talk about the pipes, because the one I just talked about was the first iteration. There is going to be a second iteration. So this first one was called the highest pipe, or it's HAIS. So the highest cable it took its code name by squishing the names of the designers together.
Okay.
And that was Hartley and I guess Siemens Brothers. They took the IS and switched it. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out, but it's highest. And it was made by different... It had 3 main envelopes with different layers. Morgan, I do have a picture.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at it.
Of a diagram of the highest cable. So the innermost tube or envelope was an extruded lead pipe, and it was 3 inches in diameter, and that's the pipe that the fuel flowed through. Okay. The next outer layer consisted of steel tape wound around the pipe, and then the biggest layer was the armor layer, and it was made of 57 galvanized steel wires wound over the steel tapes. Now,
with a bunch of other things in between.
With a bunch of other things in between, yes. So they've got layers of asphalt, cotton tape with resin inside, jute fiber tape, and asphalt with paper tape inside. And all of that was wound in between those 3 main layers.
Wow.
So the inner tube was only 3 inches, but the outer tube was probably more like 6 inches around after all of these layers. And the completed cable was coated in a whitewash. Okay. I guess to be easily seen. So it was manufactured in continuous lengths of 35 nautical miles.
Wow.
Long. Continuous length of 35 nautical miles.
Wow.
And weighed 63 tons per nautical mile when filled with water at 200 pounds per square inch of pressure. And they would fill the pipes up with water to make sure they don't collapse while laying the pipes.
Right, because with the pressure of it, when it goes underwater, the differential pressure would crush it.
On top of it being wound around a drum, that would squish it too, and they didn't want it to break, so they kept it full of water so it could wrap around without being damaged.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And they did start out initially with, instead of a 3-inch internal pipe, a 2-inch internal pipe, and that was just because they wanted it to be lighter, and they're trying to test it out. So they would eventually bump it up to the 3-inch diameter internal pipe, but during testings they kept it 2. So during the operation, they would make 710 nautical miles of this specific type of pipe. 570 miles, nautical miles, was made in British companies, and 140 was made in the United States by 4 different companies, 2 of which included Phelps Dodge and General Electric.
Wow.
Wow. So they did have a practice round, and they loaded up 120 yards, laid it in the River Medway on May the 10th of 1942. So they really knocked this out pretty quickly. Fraser agreed to cover the trial costs himself, hoping for reimbursements from the government. Spoiler, I don't think they ever came.
That keeps happening. The government is not paying people who help the government.
Yeah, he's like,
especially
I want
wartime.
this war. Oh my God. Like, he literally was doing so much for the war effort, and they're just like, thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate it. Come on. So, they tested it for 2 days, continuously. And there was a failure, and the lead had kind of extruded or pushed its way through the gaps in the steel tape. They did 2 layers of steel tape after that, and another test in June. They were successful.
Okay.
So, full-scale production at this point. By August the 14th of 1942, full-scale production begins. And on October 30th, they did a 30-mile trial run rehearsal. And that rehearsal, well, by October 30th, they loaded everything up. They said the rehearsal didn't take place till December 29th. I don't know, y'all.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, they did a 30-mile trial run. And it was successful, even though there was rough weather. And it was laid across the Bristol Channel at a speed of 5 knots.
Wow.
Which, let's just say, I forgot to look this up. How fast is 5 knots? So that's 5.7 miles per hour, which is pretty fast if you're literally laying something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you're laying pipe at 5 miles an hour.
Emileigh's facial expressions are what made that joke.
Wish y'all were here. So, anywho, so they connected Swansea and Ilfracombe. If I said either of those wrong, just know I tried.
Okay.
I did hear it said to me earlier. So,
okay.
Not long after that, 2 500-pound bombs were dropped in Swansea, literally 100 feet from the cables.
Oh, shit.
And it didn't break. It was a little, during that time, a ship's anchor actually dislodged the pipe, and the HMS Holdfast was able to actually go and just, like, fix the pipe. So it was still successful.
Oh, great.
In that. And I do believe, I know I have these. I have these map, but I don't know if it shows Swansea and
I was looking for Swansea. I don't see it.
I don't think it's on there. So after this is when they were like, okay, we're going to bump it up to a 3-inch pipe, and then they altered the ships to carry up to 100 miles of cable each. So at this point, lead was in short supply, so they really needed an alternative, just in case. So Bernard J. Ellis, who was the chief engineer of the Burma Oil Company, looked to mild steel and believed that he could make a pipe similar, but with mild steel instead. So they created a 3.5-inch pipe using that mild steel and made it in 30-foot segments. And it was made by J&E Hall, which they made fridge components. And they were designed to be flash welded together. So the pipe was called the Hamel pipe, and that combined their names of Ellis and Hall. H-A and then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They squish them together.
Yeah.
So the problem with this is that the pipe, because now it's steel, couldn't be coiled up in the hold of a ship like the highest pipe could be. It was still flexible, but it wasn't near as flexible.
Yeah, I think lead is, even though it's heavier, it's softer than steel.
Yes.
Because lead is like an element, so I think it's softer. Steel is like a combination of a lot of different metals, and I think that it becomes really strong because of that. But that means it's not very flexible because it's so rigid and strong.
Right. So they were like, well, we can't put it in the ship like we've been doing, so we need to come up with another way. So they made a giant inflatable steel drum that was 60 feet wide and 40 feet in diameter. I do have pictures. And they could be pulled by tugboats. And they named them conundrums.
I wonder if that's the origin of
I
the
don't know.
word. Hey, guys.
Conundrum.
I have to look up the etymology of... Y'all know I love etymology.
Yes.
Hang on.
So they did originally just call them canuns. But then they just started calling them conundrums. So I don't know.
Why does my phone never want to work? Okay. The term comes from the late 16th century, so it's not where it originated. But I can definitely see the pun aspect.
Yes.
Of it.
Absolutely. And it does. I mean, you look at that and you're like, what in the world is that?
A massive, it looks like a bobbin. Like a giant bobbin.
Yes. That's exactly what it looks like. And it's floating. And if you don't even think about like, oh, that doesn't look that big. And then you look at the people next to it.
Like, I didn't even see that person on the boat.
Yeah, that's a person on a boat.
He's so tiny.
He's so big. And if you go down one,
two,
you'll see it in the water. Mm-hmm. So, like, being pulled. So, what they would do is by tugboats, they would wrap the, and I do have a diagram also of, like, how, if you go down a little more, how they did it and, like, how they stored these pipes. But they would wrap them around these things and then pull them by tugboat, and then they would spin and release the pipes.
I mean, honestly, that's clever.
It's so clever. And they made 6 of these conundrums, and they were named the HMS Conundrum 1 through 6.
Creative.
Yes, they're out of time for naming things.
Mm-hmm. They gotta get. They have shit to do.
They got shit to do. They got a war to win. So, after each 4,000-foot section was on it, they would then weld the next piece onto it and wrap it over, and it could haul 90 miles of pipe.
Wow.
So much pipe. So the Hamel pipe.
I'm just like laying so much pipe. I can't.
I laid 90 miles of pipe last night. So the Hamel pipes, its lifespan was only estimated to be around 6 weeks. So they actually added dyes to detect leaks because it wasn't quite as strong as the highest. It was a really good backup, but they were afraid it wasn't going to be as good. So at this point, they are now making both the highest and the Hamel pipes. So now we're at a point where in the spring of 1943, we are planning where we're going to connect these pipes. And the Petroleum Warfare Department, or the PWD, decided where exactly they were going to put it in the spring of 1943. So one of those was at Sandown on the Isle of Wight, and the other at Dungeness on the Kent coast. So that is obviously on the Allies side.
Right.
Now, that's where they're going to put a pumping station, each pumping station. And they had places that they were aiming to go for. So they were going to start at those two places and go across. They were designed, these pumping stations were built at those two locations and designed to minimize the risk of attacks and obviously to preserve the secrecy of this operation. Nobody knew this was going on. This is one of the things that I've heard this operation called is one of World War II's best kept secrets. Literally, these pumping stations were disguised as bungalows, barns, gravel pits, garages, an ice cream shop. Literally anything but what it actually was. And they were really kind of cool. The term Petroleum Warfare Department or even the initials could not be seen on any correspondence or packaging or anything. They could not write it down. If it was going over there, it was like blank. And sites were scrubbed off of maps. Truck drivers literally had to call from public phone booths for directions on how to get to these places. Each station was then outfitted with 30 diesel-powered pumps and 4 electric pumps. And these combined could pump 400,000 gallons or 1.8 million liters per day when used at max.
So crazy.
So crazy. Where were we going to connect? So Sandown was going to be linked to Cherbourg, and this was codenamed Bambi, and that was spanning over 65 nautical miles. Dungeness pump station was going to be linked to Ambleteuse, and that was codenamed Dumbo because they really just leaned into that Disney theme. They were like, well, we've already named it Pluto, might as well Bambi and Dumbo.
There you go.
That's literally, they're like, that Disney, whatever.
Consistency.
I love it. So then they did a cute little fake out. They built a fake oil dock in Dover, built it from camouflage scaffolding, fiberboard, old sewage pipes. It was like a 3-mile big facility.
Wow.
And from a distance, it looked like an oil dock. They used wind machines to make dust to like make it look like there was activity.
Wow.
And it was secured by military police. So it looked like an operating thing. Now, so smart. The German aircraft were allowed to fly over it, but if they got less than 33,000 feet, obviously they would do something about it. Mm-hmm. Because less than 30, you couldn't get a high resolution image from over 33,000 feet.
Right.
So they were like, oh, look, Germans.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
Not over there. For sure not over there. So D-Day plans were coming up to it. So the prep work for their part of D-Day was finished by March of 1944. By D-Day itself, which was June the 6th of 1944, if y'all have forgotten, they had several ships, over 100 merchant Navy officers, and more than 1,000 men working under Pluto. And Cherbourg was supposed to be seized 8 days after D-Day. So that means Bambi was supposed to be in operation like 70 to 75 days after D-Day.
Okay.
In reality, Cherbourg wasn't taken until they referred to it as like D plus however many days. So Cherbourg wasn't taken until D plus 21 days.
Okay.
And due to other damages, the first oil tanker didn't actually arrive until D+49.
Oh, wow.
So they're really trying to like catch up. And up until the pipes were put through, they're using conventional methods still. So August the 12th of 1944, they started working on Bambi. So the HMS Latimer laid the highest pipe in just 10 hours that night.
Wow.
But it was destroyed beyond repair when it was caught by the anchor of an escorting destroyer.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Another attempt was made just 2 days later by the HMS Sandcroft. And unfortunately, in that situation, the pipe wrapped around the support ship, the HMS Algerian. Literally, get out of the way. Like, move. So, an attempt to lay a Hamel pipe failed on the 27th of August due to barnacles being attached to the HMS Conundrum 1, and that prevented it from rotating. So, they couldn't do it that night. They did try a few days later, but the pipe broke around mile 29. So they were like, oh no, it's harder in these conditions, in the wartime, bad weather conditions. Way harder
It's
than
just
the
like
practice round.
one thing after the other, it sounds like.
Yes. So on September 22nd, a highest cable that functioned was laid and delivered 56,000 imperial gallons per day. On the 29th of September, Hamel cable was successfully laid. So we're getting somewhere. Unfortunately, on October the 3rd, both of the pipes failed when the pressure was increased due to the highest having a faulty coupling and the Hamel hitting something sharp on the bottom.
No.
So Bambi was terminated the following day. They're like, we're done with that side.
It's too
we're
much.
So done.
It's too much trouble.
Yes. And only 935,000 imperial gallons had been transferred using Bambi. That's really not that much.
It's not, yeah.
So in comes Dumbo. So the port of Rouen was captured on August the 30th. So we're backing up just a little bit. It was captured on August 30th. And Le Havre? Ray? It looks like Havre.
It's probably Le Havre, because French.
Le Havre, because French. Yeah. Love y'all. So on Le Havre was captured on September the 12th. Rouen was in better condition, but was 75 miles up the Seine River.
Mm-hmm.
And Boulogne?
I think so.
Boulogne was captured on September 22nd, and that port was opened on the 22nd of October.
Okay.
So now we've got a couple different options. The HMS Sandcroft laid a highest pipe and began pumping on October 26th, and this one would stay operational until the end of the war.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
There we go. So the pipelines were directed to the beach at Boulonnais, like outer harbor, and they had a 23 nautical mile stretch across the Strait of Dover. And this was like, all of this was, if you remember, not the original plan. They were planning on going to Amble 2s, but they couldn't because of the very heavy mine presence at Amble 2s. They were like, we're not,
not even going to
we're not doing
worry
that.
about it.
Mm-mm. So they'd finally gotten better at laying the pipe, and I'm glad you improved. So the pipes were, what they would do is they would put, the main part would be the Hamel pipe, and they would put the end bits as the highest pipe because they're bendier. So then they would drop it off, they would lay it down, and then they would like let it go, and then a barge would come through, grab the end of the pipe, and then connect it to the like onshore pipe.
Okay.
You're getting a system down. I like it. So in November, the pipe was extended to Calais, where there were better railway systems. So in the map, you can see that.
Are those
over
dash
there,
lines the
bit.
railway systems?
I think it was just where more pipe was laid.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. So by December of that year, they had 17 different pipelines, and Dumbo was providing 1,300 long tons of fuel daily.
Wow. All right.
None of the highest pipelines broke, and on average, the time between when the Himmels needed fixing was between 52 and 112 days, kind of averaging around 68.
Okay.
That's really not that bad. They just like go fix the section.
Because they gave it about a
6
week like timeline anyway, right? So they're like, yeah, it's probably gonna fail, so we'll just have to routinely like update it. Yeah, fix it.
Monitor. Yeah.
Repair, that's the word.
The only problem is, yes, repair. They couldn't operate under the full pressure that they wanted to, so I think they ended up just sticking with regular fuel. Or maybe one of them would run fuel, then they had, certain ones would run certain things. I think they had to like nix the aviation fuel idea, but I mean, it was really cooking there at the end. And we're talking late 1944 into early 1945. So we're talking the end of the war at this point. Right when we did that last
push.
Hurrah. Yeah. And yeah. So they did have a thought about shutting down Pluto because they're like, is it even working well enough to continue it? But then they really got to thinking, they're like, there's only 2 locations that can unload these larger tankers. And there were more it was just kind of easier with the pipeline. So they're like, let's have both the tankers and the pipeline. It's running.
I mean,
let's just
we
keep
have
it
it. Why
going.
not use it?
So they continued. Yeah, exactly. And they, worked very hard on it. So Pluto was then extended from Boulogne onto Antwerp all the way to eventually Emileigh. So you would have a pipeline. This is just to think about, mind-boggling. From Dungeness across the English Channel to Boulogne, then to Calais, to Ghent, to Antwerp, to Eindhoven, then all the way to Emileigh.
Which I think is
crazy.
That's Sweden, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a line right there, so yeah.
Wow.
And all of that could be transported within like a day or 2. I mean, it was being transported thousands of long tons in
across
a day.
Thousands of miles.
So how... Yeah. So Pluto, by March 15th of 1945, Dumbo was delivering 1 million imperial gallons per day. That's just the Dumbo side. And by April the 3rd, Dumbo was delivering 4,500 long tons daily to the Rhine area. And new lines continued to be laid, with the last being laid on May 24th of 1945. So right up to the end. It was shut down on August the 7th of 1945 to conserve manpower, and was formally discontinued on August the 31st. Now, the last day of the war was September the 2nd of 1945. So literally right up until the end. They were like, okay, we've kind of got this thing in the bag. So we can shut it down now. We're good. It had delivered 180 million imperial gallons of fuel in like a year.
So I guess because with all the information, my timeline got a little disrupted. So were the pipelines delivering across the English Channel from the UK to Europe for a calendar year or about a calendar year.
I think, yeah, about a calendar year. The first pipes, I mean, think about it. They weren't able to get the pipelines over until after D-Day. And that was 1944, June of 1944.
And then...
So Dumbo wasn't operational until after that.
The war ended in September 1945. So, yeah, like, that was 2 years of work and planning and production for barely over a year of actual, like,
a year
transportation with the pipe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. And the PWD, Petroleum War Department, ceased operations within their department on March 31st of 1946, so the next year. And all remaining supplies went to the Ministry of Supply. They didn't anticipate using this again. They're like, hopefully we never have to use it again. So they actually sent the records of Operation Pluto to the Public Records Department. They were kept confidential for 30 years, but have now been released to the public. And the Royal Commission on Awards to Inventors gave tax-free payments to Mr. Hartley, who got £9,000, Ellis, who got £5,000, M.K. Purvis, he was the designer of the conundrum, only got £85. And A.E. Price, who made the wedging gripping device that, like, secured the pipeline near the shore, got £250. Hopefully they gave out more money than that. That doesn't seem...
Yeah. For, like, thank you for your war contribution effort. We couldn't have done it without you. Here's £85.
Yeah. Go get yourself a nice dinner.
Yeah, maybe, like, a hotel stay at one of the destroyed hotels in London because of all the air raids that happened.
Hey, we've got this fake ice cream shop, so do you want to go visit that? It's actually, that building is still there, and it's now like, it's like a bowling alley or a mini golf course or something like that now.
That's hilarious. I love that.
So you want to know a few stats?
Tell me some stats.
Some fun facts. It cost £4.428 million for this operation. In the grand scheme of things, that's really not that much.
I was about to say, like, I feel like that with how much pipe they had to lay, like, I'm looking at the map that you posted, and just between, like, the two different lines, like, one's 280 miles, one's 500 miles of pipeline laid down.
So much.
Like, plus all of the personnel that you have to staff to manufacture the pipe, place it down, weld it, all the fuel that you have to pay for to put into the pipe. Like, I feel like I don't feel like that's extravagant amounts of money for all of the work that was done and everything that happened for this.
No, I that's why I was like, really? That's it? I was thinking like 44 million, and I was like, did I read that right? 4.4? That's it?
I was expecting it to cost like $1 billion, honestly. Like, I would have been like, yeah, that checks.
Yeah, sure. So 85% of the pipeline was salvaged and scrapped between 46 and 49, and they were able to recoup a good amount of, at least, material costs. And like I said, a lot of these buildings are still around, which is really interesting. And Pluto was the world's first undersea, like, oil pipeline. And it made major contributions, not just to the Allied war effort, but, like, how we live our lives today. Because it kind of laid the groundwork for how we get oil across the oceans now.
And I'm sure it, like, contributed to, like, I mean, a lot of internet cables are laid underwater, and, like, electric lines, and a lot of other, like, communications lines are laid underwater. And I'm sure a lot of that borrowed on this technology.
Absolutely. Now, there were 5.4 million long tons that were delivered to the Allies over the war. 8 8% was delivered by Pluto in a year. So there were some mixed reviews. Some people were like, this is like the best. This is the best thing we've ever done. Some people were like, oh, it really wasn't worth it. I mean, they didn't really deliver that much fuel. Had they had made this at the beginning of the war, how much fuel could they have moved?
Yeah, and probably saved from, like, attacks and...
Yeah. They moved 8% of the fuel in a year. When you said
8, I felt like my brain literally short-circuit, like, what?
Yeah.
8%?
And remember, Bambi was shut down. It contributed very, very little in the grand scheme of things. So it was mostly Dumbo.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of a surviving pipe that says Pluto, and like you can tell it's a modern picture, and it's like on land. It's really cool.
It's on like a walkway or a greenway of some kind.
Yeah.
Like a little dirt road.
Yeah.
Do you know where this picture was
I have
taken?
no idea. Not a clue. I wish I could tell you.
There's a GeoGuessr guy that's really popular on the internet, and you literally just like give him a picture and he can like figure out where it is on Earth. Like I've seen like a couple of videos of his. They're crazy. Like he can like say like, oh, this type of soil is found in this part of the world, and he will like use his understanding of like geography and geology and just like plants and like what he knows about existing places he's already like looked at on Google Maps, and he will like do like wizardry and be like, oh, it's in this exact location.
I hate that.
On Google Maps. It's insane. He's like a wizard.
Yeah, well, send this to him and be like, where is this?
Where is this? Tell us where this is, please.
That's crazy. I hate that. I'm like, that makes me not want to put anything on the internet ever.
I know, right? Nothing's private.
Nothing. Okay, well, that was me laying some pipes. There we go.
Yay! I really enjoyed how you laid pipe down, Emily.
Thanks.
It was very satisfactory. I couldn't resist. No, this was super interesting. I've never heard of this operation. I'd never really thought about it. Like,
literally, my thoughts
wars
exactly.
Need fuel.
Not once in any time we've ever talked about war or strategies or tanks or airplanes or anything, not once have I thought about fuel. Now, Nick would probably like to say that I never think about fuel. My tank's always on E. But I'm like, yeah, sure, there's a tank out there in the wilderness. I don't know how they get fuel. I don't think about it.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Except the people whose job it is to think
about it. Right, except, what was the Petroleum War Department?
Yeah.
Yeah. And your enemy, because they're like, strategy. If we
let's target their fuel line.
Mm-hmm. But you'd never target an ice cream shop.
And this is an evil ice cream shop.
Evil.
Sorry, I've had 2 alcoholic beverages.
You should get a third
tonight, and I feel
we're about to record a second episode.
We have one more episode to record.
Yeah, get a third. Let's get all loosey.
Get another cup of tea and another beverage.
I'll get another. I'll get another liquid IV and get more heartburn and match your level. I'll do it.
We'll just both be coughing into the microphone. You're like gagging on acid, like.
Where are the Tums?
Dragon breath.
Oh, getting older sucks.
Well, I know. I can't believe I'm going to be 32 in a little over a month. Yeah,
you're the first one of our friends group to like turn 32. So every year I'm like, how is it? And you're like, it's literally the same.
I get to report back. I swear though, like the year I turned 30, the year that my body started falling apart, I swear, like I literally woke up on my 30th birthday and I was like, ow, why does my entire body hurt? And it didn't go away.
No.
And I was like, when I was 29, my body didn't hurt like this.
Mine did, but then I think because my body kind of I'm at a constant pain level of like 4 to 6. It's just kind of where I'm at in life. And I'm used to it. It's fine. So my body was like, we got to go big or go home when you turn 30. So a month after turning 30, let's make sure you don't walk for months.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's injure yourself.
Yeah.
It was 4th of July, right? Where you hurt your ankle.
It was the day before, or was it the day? No, it was the day before the 4th of July. Yeah. It was, I literally sent a video to my family, of me sitting on the surfboard going through the snow, and Nick waxed the bottom of the surfboard. So I went so far. Like, I had to bail off before I hit a tree. I went through the entire side yard. It was crazy. And Dad said, the last time you went down feet first sitting on something, it didn't really turn out too good, did it? And I was like, you didn't have to bring it up, Dad. Thanks. I'm going way slower.
And there's snow. There's like some padding.
Not hay bales to break my descent. And I don't have a beer and a child in my lap. So
right.
I'm being safe, Dad.
Yeah, the heel. That heel's a lot less steep.
Oh, yeah. It was so weird because, my backyard, it's very flat, but I have the hill in the front yard. So I really thought I was going to stop at the house. And then I just kept going. Like, the video was me just, like, looking around like, is it going to end? I just kept going.
Am I just going to keep going into the woods?
Yeah. I literally bailed before I hit the playhouse. I was like, this is not good.
Don't need another ankle incident.
No, I'm scared for my ankles. I'm scared for them. Every time I start to twist one, I, like, stand there for a second, like, am I okay?
I'm not going to twist it this time.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm going to walk.
My poor kids are like, are you okay?
Mom got hurt again.
The worst part was when I twisted it the first time that year. And it was the kids' fault because they had left stuff on the stairs. And then I fell down the stairs.
I remember that.
And my son came down and was like, oh my God. And I was like, go get my phone. And he was helpful, but he tried to carry me up the stairs. I'm like,
bless
dude,
him.
You are so sweet. I am way too big for you.
I'm literally like twice your height. And like,
he was 6 at the time. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, bless his heart. Oh my God.
He had to watch me crawl up on my knees.
And she was like, Mama, are you okay? Mama,
okay?
What can I help you?
And I didn't have a scooter yet, so I literally hobbled back down the stairs at one point, got Nick's like roll around chair from the garage and was scooting around on it and nearly wiped out about 50 million times. Because that was not what it's made for.
Right.
Okay, well, let's do socials.
Let's do socials so we don't forget this time.
Yeah, I don't know if hopefully y'all didn't notice, but we definitely forgot to do socials once, and I just kind of slid in socials from another episode. So if y'all noticed, it's fine.
I'm sure it's fine.
Okay, so if you liked this, you can find us on Facebook,
Ill-Equipped History Podcast group and page,
Instagram,
at Ill-Equipped History,
TikTok if it's still around by now.
Yeah, I keep hearing it's going to be banned. At Ill-Equipped History. I don't know.
I don't know. If it's not around at this point, ignore that part. And you can email us at Gmail.
Ill-equippedhistory@gmail.com.
And Patreon
patreon.com/illequippedhistory, where we have monthly bonus episodes, and if you subscribe to us, you get a sticker.
Yeah, you get a few stickers. Every time we make new stickers, we'll send them to you because we love you. I'll doodle something. One of these days we're going to have merch, and, like and share.
Yeah.
And find
Give us
us
some ratings.
Yes, because, we're trying to grow this thing. Not that we'll ever stop doing it, but, it helps if it's bigger. So,
yes.
share it. Force
Please.
it down your friend's throat. Lay the pipes. Morgan just collapsed.
My brain just did a really weird thing, which I think emphasized it, because you started saying lay the, and my brain went foundation. And then you said pipes, and then my brain just went, and then...
You gotta get those long tons.
Where did you go? Oh, there you are. Oh, man. Well, I think we got a few more giggles out of this episode than
absolutely
maybe you're expecting.
I know. I was so scared. It was just going to be like, and then they built the pipe and they put it in the ocean.
And they called it putting pipeline under the ocean.
Under the apparatus. What did you call it?
Pluto. I think I called it pipeline laying underwater Terran apparatus or something like.
Right. Okay.
Pluto.
Pluto. So we would have Dumba and Bambo. Okay, we gotta let these people go. If you need to build an ice cream shop. That's not an ice cream shop.
Yeah, and then several decades later, you can turn it into a bowling alley, and it'll be great.
Yeah. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.